Please.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, a lot of provisions in the amended act would definitely make Nigerians very happy. We did a very thorough job, very painstaking. We took cognizance of the peculiarities of the country. We did not allow too much outside interference, and we're very patriotic in our submissions. And at the end, we believe strongly that what the president has just assented into Act of Parliament will make patriotic in our submissions. And at the end, we believe strongly that what the president has just assented of the peculiarities of the country. Well, a lot of provisions in the amended act would definitely make Nigerians very happy. We did a very thorough job, very painstaking. We took cognizance of the peculiarities of the country. We did not allow too much outside interference.
They do not allow too much outside the Nigerians. How much is too much? Okay. Are you supposed to? Are you supposed to allow outside interference at all? Yeah, people.
Very patriotic in our submissions.
I like that.
And at the end, we believe strongly that what the president has just assented into Act of Parliament will make a better election in the future, and will also lead to prosperity, and will also lead to transparency of the electoral process. At the end, Nigerians will benefit a lot from future elections. Every vote will now count.
So how have you been able to reconcile the concerns of Nigerians that they raised before the...
Well, I think all Nigerians wanted was that in the IREF portal, which is a kind of viewing center of the outcome of most of the polling unit results, that they would like to see that transmitted electronically. We have included that in the amendment that has just been signed into Act of Parliament. But we also took cognizance of areas where there may not be any network, where there may not be communication capacities and availability. And we said, since the polling unit result comes in from ECAA, which is signed by the presiding officer, signed by the agents, and signed in the presence of security agents, copies are given to all. Then we can use that as a primary source of solution at that unit. And then, of course, we transmit it, even if there's no network at that time. Once you step out of there, maybe towards the ward center or the local government center, it will drop into the island until you will still be able to do it. The implication of that is that if what is eventually collated at the next center is different from what is in the IRF, Nigerians will be able to compare whether the election result had been tampered with. And for us, that had always been the problem in the country. That once the election result leaves a polling unit, it will be tampered with or mutilated. That has been eliminated today. So we are satisfied that we have met the aspiration of Nigerians. The issue of real time also comes in. Once you transmit, even if there's no network at that time, once you go to where there's network, it will still drop. So eventually everything will still be shown. So we are happy and satisfied that we have been able to interpret the intentions and the yearnings of majority of Nigerians, not those who are politically motivated, not few people who make noise. Noise is different from lawmaking. And I always say, no matter what we did in the last 2 years, we went to retreat in Lagos, we went to retreat in Ibadan, everywhere. Those things were just mere consultations. The final outcome of what was amended happens in the plenaries of both chambers. And we felt in the last 1 month that we have done a lot.
Protest.
And we, even the Senate, for instance, we sacrificed even the holidays. The Mr. Speaker had to call back members who were on a bit of break from plenaries, from budget sessions, to come back and undertake this all-important national assignment. That's why I said we are very satisfied that going forward, we are going to have more transparent election. This has never happened since 1960. We have never had electronic transmission of results in any of our laws. We never even recognized the IRF in the 2022 Act. All those things are now there. And at the end of the day, more powers are given to political parties. That they should decide who their candidates are. And above all, participatory democracy, more inclusiveness. Members of different political parties are now allowed to do direct primaries. That means you can choose the person you want. Delegate selection, of course, one person can write the list and then just submit. But this time around, the members who are in the political party will stand up and vote for their candidates and the candidates of their choices. That some people don't understand that it is not even good that in an election you have 5 people contesting. One person scores out of 300,000 votes. One person scores 290,000. And then for one reason or the other, he's disqualified by the court. And then the person who scored 1,000, who is not popularly elected, will now be declared a winner. All those things are eliminated. We have now recommended that where such a case happens, then you should call for another election. And that also comes even with the governorship election, where somebody who scores the second highest vote may not meet the 2/3 of the spread of the requirements in local government and will be declared a winner. No, we don't want that kind of situation. We want something that will help Nigerians to truly.
So, Nigerians, congratulations. Guys, people are funny. The guy said we only allow
1 month that we have done a lot.
More
where there may not be communication.
Listen to this. This is the
was that in the area
before the
also lead to prosperity and will also lead to trans. Believe strongly that what Nigerians very happy. We did a very thorough job, very painstaking. We took cognizance of the peculiarities of the country. We did not allow too much outside interference.
That's it. That's the most important part. We do not allow too much outside interference. How much is too much? Only America coming in, or be only Britain coming in, only the US, be Ghana. I mean, what do you mean by not too much outside interference? And they tell us what in the go shell. How did they do it? Nobody's paying attention.
That act will definitely make Nigerians very happy.
Yeah,
We did a very thorough job, very painstaking. We took cognizance of the peculiarities of the country. We did not allow too much outside interference. And
these people like they protest with you I no understand. People they protest with they don't understand. It's ridiculous. Where is the other one where the man himself they deliver the speech? So congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. When I don't win, those who were protesting for live transmission, they will come and regret this. I don't understand. I talk and say English, now it go destroy all of us. Wait oh. Are these people playing? Okay, no be that. So I talk and say na English go now it go destroy all of us. Grown men and women gather for streets, they shout. We want transmission of a compulsory transmission of result. That's not what they're supposed to be asking for. Ask for only, yeah, that word is very important. Only live transmission should be counted as legal, should be accepted, should be the only form of transmitting result. That's not waiting there for the ask for be that. They ask for transmission of result. Okay, you get what you want, but we'll give you add our own Jordan too. They did it, they form village boys and city boys. Okay. The same argument that was heard 2022 when some people say election no fit happen for their place because of insecurity. They were dismissed that they no count, they're too small. You can't allow few local government, few places where insecurity did to stop our election, right? Okay, they overlook them, give them their victory. We are back in the same thing, man. The same fucking but now grammar. Right, they deceive them. And actors this time around. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to congratulate you Nigerians for well played. Your played. They play well now. Okay. And I want electoral live transmission, and you got it. That's what they say. Be careful what you ask for. Y'all got what you asked for and more. They get what they ask for and more. I Akpabio they say now only small we allow outside interference. Imagine that country. I will see what contest the election. And they tell una say they have outside interference. Well, now then go pay for the election before anyway. Now then they have more at stake, I think. Well, Tinubu no go waste time. Sharp, sharp. You gotta run am. You gotta run am. They come. If I allow this thing to linger on my table, they might find another way to disturb me. So I'm surprised because I know you only me surprised, but I think make I tell you now we're surprised. I think it was nah. You can see nah. Kilompe. Wiki. Yeah, all these people. I like them because he didn't keep Nigerians waiting. Wiki hate to the over swift assets to electoral. That's what you'll be seeing tomorrow. Tomorrow, I saw you go see them on TV. All the people wait on all these we say they call they carry Amadi and the rest of them and all those who are pundits. Now so they go assemble. They'll be jumping from one platform to another. Say yes, Tinubu has a breaking record. They're going to tell you how many decades it take Buhari and the rest of them. So this is the headline. This is the headline that will dominate news tomorrow or the weekend, pretty much. I don't think there will be any news that they will amplify over this news over the weekend. Let's say something else happened, but the Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has commended President Bola Tinubu for the prompt signing of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2026 into law, describing the move as a major boost to Nigeria democratic development. There will be they will use democracy has died. Democracy is dying. Bola Tinubu has killed democracy. I don't know. I hope they will still hang on to that slogan. Wike said the president's swift action reflects a strong commitment to strengthening the credibility of election and improving the country's democratic framework. Congratulations. It's coming from a Rivers man who the opposition says that what happened in Rivers was a gun to the head of democracy. In a statement issued on Wednesday, senior advisor Larry Olayinka, the minister said the president's decision to assent to the bill in less than 24 hours demonstrates efficiency and political will. You can't argue against that. I mean, going by the history, it's been swift. So, according to him, the rapid passage of the bill by the National Assembly and the immediate presidential assent underscored the administration resolve to enhance transparency and public confidence in the electoral system. FCT minister noted that the president's action demonstrated a firm commitment to making election in this country more credible. He also maintained that the speed which the bill was passed, was processed and signed, had effectively silenced critics whom accused of preparing accuses for future electoral losses. He argued that those raising doubts about the electoral framework would now find it difficult to fault the process, given what he described as a proactive reform by both the executive and legislative arm of government. That's it's a typical hit the ground running. He said he was going to hit the ground running. So anything that touches table will be taken care of, except Nnamdi Kanu matter. That is on the table. According to that chief, everything's in your court now. Reflecting on the democratic journey, Minister of FCT noted that governance and electoral reforms are continuous process. Democracy has always been a work in progress as it has continually evolved, Wike said. He added that the consistency review and strengthening of the Electoral Act would ensure steady improvement in the democratic process. By always looking into the Electoral Act with a view to strengthening the democratic process, it is sure that we will keep getting it better. That's why I talk about in the first instance. This not the only place where we say the players. Now only them they write their own law. And now the waste of time they scream everywhere. Say the Moguna go meet the people that send them to Abuja and ginger them. Una go to shout for off Abuja. Like it doesn't make sense. Last, you see go and make them to adjust. Now their rules, now their right arm. Constitution back them up. People, I don't think people actually understand the implication of that. So while congratulating President Tinubu and members of the National Assembly for what he described as a milestone achievement, we keep particularly praise the president's promptness. I therefore congratulate Mr. President and the National Assembly member for playing roles in this dispensation to make democracy stronger. Particularly, I commend the president for not keeping Nigerians waiting for more than 24 hours before signing the Electoral Act Bill 2026 into law. The statement added the minister expressed optimism that the amended law would further consolidate democratic gains and foster greater public trust in Nigeria ecosystem. See as they just deceive. I thought saying that is a control opposition. Now they give them this muscle to they speak grammar. I don't understand. Well, I do, not turn by turn. It's turn by turn, so I just those people where they make noise for street. Now they don't understand. It's all right. It's all right. Let's see what the oppositions are saying. Oh shit. Ọlọ́run mi mo wá dúpẹ́ o. Ọlọ́run mi mo wá dúpẹ́. Touch, so X6. Let's see. We don't talk.
Then we know the teaching that it brings to us. Oh, we understand, but I must retreat. The principle is to get
Come on. Christians have the
to
fast.
do goodness to people,
Why nobody?
to
Why would
share
we
love and faith, to forgive sins. I say, if I sin, forgive me as Nigerians. The start days, Ramadan, we know the teaching that it brings to us. Oh, we understand, but I must retreat. The principle is to get to be closer to God, to do goodness to people, to share love and faith, to forgive sins. I say, if I sin
No, not forgiving them the Kanu first.
as Nigerians,
What about that? But nobody they hold on now. Very soon now, the next couple of months, they go the hold on the worker. And people go they fall. Go they fall for that country. Well, let's see. Well, anything they trend for on our side. What's the Trump
But
this?
even if you said some little time, but I said, I'm looking for other people like you. How many are there? Many. Then I was worried because I said, well, maybe she's going to say everybody should be let out. We're not a believer in that. I said, so Alice, are there people that shouldn't be? You met a lot of people, right? Are there people that shouldn't be let out? Absolutely. Then I felt better because there's some bad ones in there too, right? But you are fantastic, and you've been great and so respected all over the country, all over the world. In a sense, you've become a very big story. Thank you very much, Alice. I appreciate it. And we have Lynn Patton. Lynn, thank you. You've been such a help. And Kelly Mitchell, thank you, Kelly. Thank you. Where's Kelly? Thank you, Kelly. And we have Dr. Alvida King. Thank you, darling. Thank you. You've been with me from day one, right? From day one, she's been there. She's been fighting for me, and I fight for her. I don't have to do too much fighting for her. She takes care of herself. Thank you. Thank you. We can say Merry Christmas is right. Thank you. Thank you for all that support for years, right? Even before Alice, a long time, years before Alice, right? Thank you, darling. Corinne Rankin, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Corinne. And Deontay Johnson, thank you. And a man who's been with me for a long time, and he's never asked me for a thing. Bruce, thank you very much. Bruce Lavelle, thank you very much. I wasn't sure if they had your name down here, Bruce. I was going to mention you anyway, okay? But they had your name. They did a job, finally. They always leave a lot of names out, and that bothers me. Like I see Scott Bessent, his name was left out. First time ever. Look at Scott. I'm looking for his name. I'm looking for his name. I said, I better. He's the greatest Treasury Secretary we've ever had. I think how's the economy doing, Scott? Good? The best. It's really, people are going to see, and watch the State of the Union. We're going to be talking about the economy. We inherited a mess, and now we have prices way down. We have energy way down. Gasoline is now breaking $2 a gallon in many places, and it's been actually amazing. But Scott's fantastic. I don't want to forget to mention him. I'd be in big trouble. All of a sudden, the economy would turn bad on us. I'd say, what happened? It was Scott. Thank you, Scott. And Secretary Lori Chavez de Reamer. Lori, thank you very much. For your Secretary of Labor, Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Diller. How are you doing? How are you doing with Harvard? How are you doing with Harvard? You know, Harvard's extremely discriminatory, unfortunately, and it's working good. Harmeet is on their trail, right? Good, good. You keep suing them. The hell with them. I like the historically black colleges and universities, which I saved. Leo 2.0 said it, but which I saved. We saved them. They had no funding, and every year they'd come back, and I got to know some of the heads, and every year they'd come back, and after my third year, first term, I said, you guys keep coming back. Why do you keep coming back? He said, we have to come back every year. For years and years, they had to come back. And one of them said, one of the heads, a great guy, said, they make us feel like beggars. We have to come back. I said, I'm going to get you long-term financing. And I got it for them. And I said, the only bad thing, I'll never see you guys again. I haven't seen too many of them. But we took care of the historically black colleges. and universities, right? And it was a great thing to do. So many others are in the audience that are just friends of mine. I look at them, so many. But if I introduce all of you, we're going to be here a long time. And that's unacceptable. Not only are we celebrating the century of Black History Month, also, as you know, this year we'll also be celebrating the 250th anniversary of our nation's founding. And the good thing, when they cheated on the election, they made me wait 4 years. And because I waited 4 years, I get the 250th year. I get the Olympics, which I was the one that got it. And I get the World Cup. So I got the World Cup, and I said, you know, it's too bad before all this nonsense took place. I said, it's too bad. I got the World Cup to come here. Johnny, another Johnny, we got the World Cup. It was fantastic, the head of it, one of the great people. And I said, the only bad part is I won't be in office because my 4 years will be up. This would have been the more traditional route. And then they cheated on the election. And I said, now we won by so much. We won by millions of votes, but they cheated. It was during a COVID period, and they cheated. And we did it again, and we made it too big to rig. Too big to rig. And by doing that, I ended up getting the Olympics. I had the Olympics. We were responsible for both of them. And we're going to have a great year, but we're going to have a great 3 years. We're going to have hopefully we're going to have a great century, because that's ultimately what it's about. We'll get it started. But as we honor America's 250, and I can't say that I got the 250. I tried doing that a couple of times, Bruce. I said, I got the Olympics. I got the World Cup, and I got the 250th year. They said, you didn't do that. I said, you're right about that. I didn't do too much. We happened to be here at the right time. That's all that was. But we thank God for the strength and courage and grit and devotion of Black Americans who have helped make America the most powerful country in the history of the world. We now have, and you saw that with our attack a few weeks ago on Venezuela. We have the greatest military in the world. We make the greatest equipment in the world. There's nobody even close. Nearly 10,000 African Americans fought for the patriot cause in the Revolutionary War. Did you know that? 10,000, and it's actually a number even, I've heard even higher than that. A great fighter. Muhammad Ali was a friend of mine. I put a picture of myself and Muhammad. It was another piece of work. You talk about a piece of work, but and Black athletes have inspired millions around the globe, from Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard also, by the way, what a great fighter. Muhammad Ali was a friend of mine. I put a picture of myself and Muhammad. It was another piece of work. You talk about a piece of work, but he could fight, couldn't he? Mike Tyson, boy, I tell you, Mike has been loyal to me. Whenever they come out, they say, Trump's a racist. You know, it's like a statement, Trump's a racist. Mike Tyson goes, he's not a racist, he's my friend. He's been there from the beginning, good times and bad. But Mike Tyson's a great guy, and he was so loyal, always been loyal. And Herschel Walker, speaking about loyal, how good a football player was Herschel? Herschel Walker now is the ambassador to the Bahamas. Bahamas, Bermuda, is it Bahamas? Whatever. It's a nice place. You'd like that, Bruce, wouldn't you? Bruce wants it. And a guy became really, he liked Trump, Jim Brown. He'd come in, he was very silent. He was silent but deadly. He'd come in and he'd look at people, and if he didn't like them, he'd just look at me and he'd go, no good. He'd rip the heart out. I would say there can't be a greater football player than Jim Brown. By the way, Lawrence Taylor, great friend. The great Lawrence Taylor, the greatest defensive player probably in the history of football. He's a great friend of mine. But I'm longer off the tee than him. You know what? Because they take the clip back further. He takes the clip back this far, and he hits it 200 yards. When you can do that, you're strong. He is a great guy, I'll tell you that. And all of this is a part of the legacy that we celebrated on July 4th, 2026, because Black History Month is really all about American history. And this is a big year. This is a big year for you. During my first term, I was honored to deliver unprecedented victories for Black Americans and all Americans, frankly, but Black Americans I single-handedly secured record long-term funding for. I told you, the historically Black colleges and universities. I created nearly 9,000 opportunity zones with our great secretary, and also I think we have to do, as I said before, Tim Scott really, he came to me with that. Conservative. And approved, and nobody thought it could be done. And it's no wonder that in 2024 we won more African American votes than any Republican presidential candidate in history. And just over 1 year ago, we had a dead country. We were a dead country. Scott just said it. We were dead as a doornail. We had an idiot as a president. We had a man that was not a president. Number one, he didn't win the election. He was not a president. Yeah, right. He was a real beauty, wasn't he? He allowed 25 million people into our country. Many of them should not have been here. And now we have, by the way, we went from the worst border in history to the best, by far, the best border in history. But I had the support of many people, Bruce. I had the support of many people in this room, and we've got right now the hottest country anywhere in the world. King of Saudi Arabia told me that. He said, you were a dead country a year and a half ago. Now you're the hottest country. We're the hottest country right now anywhere in the world. And you're a big part of it. And you're a big beneficiary. I tell you what, take a look at your 401ks. Has anybody got a 401k that's lower than it was? Better put your hand down. Lower than it was a year ago? They're double. I mean, they are through the roof. The stock market has hit 53 all-time record highs since the election. And earlier this month, the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose above 50,000 for the first time ever. Right, Scott? First time ever. And also, you know, they don't talk about this. The S&P broke 7,000. So when I got elected, they said, for the S&P to break 7,000 within 4 years would be a great achievement for the president. And for the Dow Jones to break 50,000 would be a great it would not be possible to break 50,000 or 7,000 under these two very important, call them a metrics. And you know what happened? We broke it before the end of my first year. So, right? So we did something. So they said we couldn't do it in 4 years. We did it in 1 year. More Americans are working today than at any time in American history. So we have more Americans right now working than at any time. And, you know, when I say this stuff, I get the fake news back there, a lot of it. Thank you. I agree. sometimes we have to be very careful because they actually go, and it's not pretty, Leo. We have to get Leo and the DOJ involved. But think of that, Leo, think of that. More Americans are working today than any time in history. And since I took office, African-American employment has increased by 182,000, the highest ever. Jobs. 182,000. Nearly 500,000 black Americans have rejoined the labor force since we took office. 500,000 wages for workers have increased $1,000, $2,000, even $3,000, and even sometimes, in some cases, $5,000 a year. That's faster than inflation. So wages have gone up at a much faster clip than inflation. We took over the worst inflation in the history of our country. They say 48 years or 49 years. I said that, I said, inflation under Biden has went up more than at any time in the history of our country. They said, he's not right about that. It's 49 years. I said, all right, I'll accept that too. Actually, I think it sounds worse, Harmeet. I think for some reason, because when you say the worst ever, but when you say the worst in 49 years, I'll take that, right? The fake news got me on that one. I think I was right, by the way, but I'll accept 48 or 49 years. But for the first time in many years, 100% of all net job creation is going to American-born citizens. Think of that, 100%. And in the last administration, it was going mostly to illegal aliens that came in, many of them murderers and others. Last summer, we passed the largest working-class tax cuts in the history of our country. That includes no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. And you're going to see that. It just kicked in on January 1st. You're going to see tremendous results, and they're already seeing it. And I think we're going to have GDPs. We're going to have numbers that nobody's ever seen before, Scott. Joining us this afternoon, and really somebody that is fantastic, Annetta Bradford. In 2019, Annetta and her husband opened an incredibly successful coffee shop in Arkansas named Hebrews 11:1. That's an interesting name. No one thinks that the no tax on tips matters. Well, it does matter, and it mattered a lot to Annetta. And she was able to grow her business just in a short period of time and hired more employees. And she's making a fortune. I'd like you to give some of the people in that room some of that money, Annetta. You should make it a lot. Annetta, come in. Arnetta, come. Where are you? Arnetta, come on up here, Arnetta. Come on up. Hi, darling. Please, let me move that down.
I can't do anything first but say to God be the glory. Amen. I have no business being here other than him having me here. And so, yeah, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to preach. I'm going to settle myself. Thank you so much for inviting me and having me here. It's such an honor to be here today. Hebrews 11:1. People ask me all the time, why did I even open the business? Why did I even call it Hebrews 11:1? Hebrews 11:1 is my very favorite scripture. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. That scripture has walked with me, it has grown me from a little girl on up. Not having no longer my mother here, no longer having my father here, my husband not having his mother and his father here. We opened Hebrews 11:1 with no funding, no money, no big family investors, no business loans, didn't have great credit. It was us and faith in God. That was 7 years ago. But I ran that business with just myself and one employee. Then here comes no tax on tips. I was able to hire 7 more employees just by what she did. Not only that, I was able to open a second location on our college campus. Things are just going off simply because having now faith. And so I love the fact of that scripture now.
Heavy rain in Enugu community. And then journalist Sakpe petitions police demand probe of Niger Governor Bago's aid officers over arrest detention. And a young woman reportedly dies by suicide in Lagos, leaves note revealing emotional financial struggles. Kai.
Say this, I have the best governor in the world. I don't only just call Sarah my friend, I call her my sister. And so that's why I am here today to just tell you that No Tax on Tips has been an amazing blessing for me. President Trump has been an amazing blessing for me. And at the end of the day, Jesus has been an amazing blessing for me. I love you guys and thank you so much, because I am a youth pastor, but I will not preach on today. I love y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good job, huh? So thank you very much, Arnetta. And we can't provide opportunity for the next generation if we do not also have a thing called law and order. We need law and order. You know, Washington, D.C. is amazing. It was a crime capital. It was a horror show. A year ago, it was really dangerous, and now it's one of the safest cities anywhere in the country. And we're in Memphis, Tennessee now, where it's like a different world. In 4 months, we've made it safe. We're in Louisiana, as you know. We're in lots of other places, and we have the lowest crime numbers that we've had in many years. We have the lowest murder numbers in 125 years, since 1900. And that's despite the fact that a lot of people are here, but those people have been taken out. Lots of them have been taken out. That's why we stopped the invasion at the southern border. And just 1 year ago, and think of this, 1 year ago, we had the absolute worst border that we've ever had, and now we have the safest border that we've ever had. So it's going to be really something. 125 years ago, that's before my father was born. I had a wonderful father, but that was before. So we have, murders are down from 125 years. We had the best numbers. When you think about it, that's pretty incredible. And those numbers are made up by Democrats. Can you believe it? They don't want to give me those numbers. They can add a couple of people here and there. But I've also deployed the National Guard to bring back safety to Memphis and to New Orleans and Washington. And the National Guard has been incredible, and people are safe. In the case of Washington, the restaurants were all closing up. People were getting really badly hurt and killed, frankly, many people killed. And now you can walk down the street and you have nothing to fear. We have one of the safest cities in the world, and it happened very fast, Bruce. One of those who knows the importance of this mission is Felicia Cook, a lifelong Washingtonian who tragically lost her grandson to violence in 2017. Felicia, we're so sorry, and you are a spectacular person. If you could say a few words, please. Thank you very much. Yes, come on. Oh, yeah. Oh, help her up. We don't want any mistakes. Come on in. Thank you. Yes, you can. Thank you. Thank you. That's so nice. Thank you. I like her. Please.
I like him too. One thing I like about him, he keeps it real, just like Grandma. I appreciate that because I can trust him, because he tells exactly how he feels and what he thinks. Thank God for this president. I am filled, my cup runneth over, because he allowed his constituents, his people, to come to my house to interview me, to talk about the murder of my grandson. It seemed like nobody cared. I'm an advocate for murder. I marched, I rallied, I pulled out other families in the District of Columbia that had murders and did not have answers. Ooh. We marched and we rallied, and nobody heard me, Democrats. Get mad at me. Until this Republican sent his constituents, his people out there to interview me in my home. Have you ever heard of a thing? Then they invited me twice before Congress to testify for the beautiful bill that's going to change crime in the district. If you kill somebody, okay, you take a life, you do life. Just that simple. If you do a harsh crime, you do harsh time. Just that simple. And then we need National Guard, and which we did years ago. He brought it on. I love him. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say about that racist stuff. And don't be looking at me on the news, hating on me because I'm standing up for somebody that deserves to be standing up for. Get off the man's back. Let him do his job. He's doing the right thing. Back up off of him. And Grandma said it.
That's pretty good. When is she running for office? Felicia, when are you running for office, please? You have my endorsement. You have my endorsement, Felicia. Thank you, darling. That's great. What a great, and it's from the heart. Your little baby, right, was just so horribly taken from you. Under the Trump administration, we believe that no community should be abandoned to the scourge of violent crime, and we're saving thousands and thousands of lives in many cities. And frankly, if these radical left lunatic Democrats would come and say, please help us, please, we'd stop crimes all over the place. And we're doing it in a lot of cities. Sometimes we have to force ourselves upon them because they're so bad. And I don't even think they realize what's happening to their cities and their towns. But every town that we go in, every city that we go in, like Washington, Felicia, you feel much safer now, totally safe. You can walk to a restaurant. The restaurants were all closing. Now you can't get a restaurant. The bad news is you can't get into a restaurant. But it's a great thing to see what's happening in Washington. It's like it's a hot place, and hopefully people will be coming in record numbers. And it's been, well, I know we need a little help. You need help in Atlanta. He just said, you're right, Atlanta, we could take care of Atlanta. I'll tell you what, you ought to get them to call me. We could take care of Atlanta so fast. They don't want to call. They don't want to call because they don't want to admit it, and they'll never fix it themselves. Don't forget, we move people out. We don't just go in and, be tough guys. We move people out. We take career criminals and we get them out. We bring them back to the country from where they came. And think of it. 90% of the crime is caused by 2% of the people. Think of it. So when you get the criminals out, you solve a lot of problems. Another way that we're fulfilling our duty to the next generation is the single biggest thing that's happened having to do with schools and education. It's called school choice in our great, big, beautiful bill. Our beautiful bill, which really covers 4 years. We put it all together. That's why we call it the great, big, beautiful bill. This will help millions of African-American children and ensure that no child is condemned to a failing government or a horrible school. And we have a person here who's fantastic on this subject. Greta, would you please come up? Please, Greta, come on up. Thank you. And her beautiful daughter. Thanks, Greta. Thank you very much.
God bless you. Happy to meet you, darling. Well, I ditto, to God be the glory. And we're grateful for our president. He's doing some tremendous work. And I want to remind those that don't know that this was prophesied. So you weren't supposed to have the second term when it came about. This is your season. And God said that it was going to be rough the first 2 years and that things were going to happen. But then the last 2 years are going to be great.
Well, I hope
and
so.
yes, you're going to do some tremendous things. And so for that, we thank you. On behalf of all the mothers all around the world, I'm from Texas. I live in a zip code that I didn't have an opportunity to have a choice to go to school. And so when I raised my children, I wanted a better opportunity for them. And I'm so grateful to ACE scholarships and all the doors that the president is opening for education. My son was in a school that he didn't have any voice, and he found drugs in school. And he died. And so I'm here today to just show my appreciation for all the moms around the world. We have a choice now. This choice is so important to mothers. I have a child that, because I had a choice, she's in private school. She's thriving. She's thriving. She's going to be an anesthesiology nurse, and she's doing great. And ACE scholarships was a big part of that. Changing education changes everything.
Thank you, Susan.
Changing education changes everything. In my zip code, it feels like we were locked in a cage, and being locked in a cage and can't get out. And because of all of the things that you're doing for education, now we can get out and soar. Our children can have a chance to be prosperous, just like other children. And I thank you for that. This is a great opportunity. So on behalf of all the mothers all around the world, I stand here and I give you your flowers while you can still get them. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. Give me a hand.
Thank you, sweetie.
And this is your.
Look how beautiful. What a beautiful thing. Thank you. Wow, so nice. Thank you very much. Thanks, Greta. So we're calling it end, and I just want to say this is an honor to be here. We celebrate Black History Month. We honor the memory of those who came before us by continuing their legacy and fighting for an American that's really an America that's safe and strong and prosperous. We now have a country that's bigger, better, greater than ever before. I want to thank all my secretaries and all of the people that came here. Our military leaders are here. We have a lot of people that are here, and I want to thank you all. But this is a very special group of people. So happy Black History Month, happy Black History Year, and happy Black History Century. Thank you all. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody.
This is not the first time that I'm meeting with Mr. President, but I'm here today because since my movement to the ruling party, I have not met with Mr. President, so I decided to come and see him and discuss some strategic issues that concern the security, that concern the welfare of the people of Taraba State and also Nigeria as a whole. And it was a very meaningful discussion. And this is what we keep doing from time to time to strengthen the relationship between the subnational and the federal government. Well, Taraba State has always been the president's state. The president is very happy with what we are doing. And I think he has very strong interest in the progress of the people of Taraba State. You know, Taraba State, we have a lot of natural resources. We have a very large portion of arable land for farming and the rest. And you know, agriculture is one of the very strong drive for Mr. President, and Taraba State is one of those states that are on the landline. Well, you know where I'm coming from. You know my background in the military, very strategic intelligence. And we don't just do things just like that. We have done all our mapping, our planning, and I'm on ground, and I have the people. The people have me, and I've always told them I have no business being in government than for them. So I have already won the mind of the locals, my people, and I don't think delivering Mr. President and myself will be a difficult job. Taraba is for him, and he's going to win Taraba 100%. Well, I want to assure you that now the yield from farming, in terms of mechanized farming in Taraba, has increased tremendously. We have imported a lot of tractors on ground, and people are using those tractors to farm. So we're making progress. What we need to move is to the next level where we have processing plants to process those crops within the state. So in the nearest future, you'll see that in action. Well, everything is ordained. God has the final say. There's a purpose for everything. Nothing just happened. So at this time, it symbolizes unity. It symbolizes that at this time, everybody have to be praying. Everybody have to get close to God. So I think it's not a coincidence. It's divine. So we're going to see the result after our prayers and fasting. Well, I will assure you that Taraba is one of the most secure states in the north. And before I came in to to this position, it was very difficult to stay out at 4 p.m. And I know that we have some indigenes of Taraba State here with you, but now you can move freely in Taraba State. You can move without security in Taraba State. But you can't rule out some few areas where you have some skirmishes, you have some crime. You can't get it 100%, but I want to assure you that at least we have peace in Taraba, and crime has reduced tremendously in Taraba.
Thank you. Let's come back to Nigeria, launching a new national industrial policy document aimed at raising the country's industrialization ranking from the present 8th position. South Africa, Morocco, Egypt, and Tunisia are Africa's leading industrial economies. Now, the industrial policy unveiled by Nigeria on Tuesday was the first bold move to address the country's industrialization question since the Tinubu's administration came into office nearly 3 years ago. Now, drilling down into the new industrial policy for me is Professor Franklin Ugu. He is the director in charge of sustainability at the Lagos Business School. Thank you so much. We thank you for coming on the program tonight.
Thank you for
Okay, thank you. It's good to have you here. So let's move to this industrial policy, and I want you to give me your first word, as it were, on this particular policy document.
I think it's a good document. I mean, it's an 88 page. I think it has about 8 chapters.
88 pages.
88 pages,
Yeah,
yes.
90 pages.
With details of what they are supposed to do with regards to specific sectors, which they call focus sectors. So it's good. It's a good document. However, of course, this is not the first time we're having an industrial policy. Let me in 2014, during Jonathan's regime, we had the National Industrial Revolution Plan. And also during Buhari's regime, we had the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan. So, and of course, people normally say that in Nigeria, that the issue is not about the document. It's not really about formulation. It's not really about having policies. The challenge most of the time is on execution. And if you also remember, during Obasanjo's regime, we had the NEETs, that's the National Economic Empowerment Program, and also the seats that goes to the states as well. So the question then, this time around, is what will be the difference between what we have now and what we did before with regards to the main issue is how do we execute implementation.
So since we returned to democracy in 1999, we've had roughly 4 industrial policy, economic rejuvenation program that want to speak to industrialization. So do you think the latest document really identifies the structural issues that Nigeria needs to fix in order to achieve rapid industrialization? I'm sure you heard Aliko Dangote there says, look, we need to have just at least 2-3 days behind closed doors, drill down just on energy alone. Do you agree with Aliko?
Yes. Totally agree with him. But of course, energy is not the only issue. Energy, for you to produce, for you to do anything, you need electricity. That's what Aliko is saying, and it's very important. So my own assessment is that even though he said 2 days for energy sector, which is very, very important, I think that this document now requires maybe an execution plan. Because this is just a formulated point. Structural issue.
No.
So, President Tinubu has signed the Electoral Act 2026 Amendment Bill into law, establishing the legal framework for the 2027 general elections. The signing at the presidential villa comes just days after INEC unveiled the official election timetable and after weeks of intense legislative debate and public pressure on key reforms. One of the most contentious issues has been the electronic transmission of results. Civil society, opposition parties, and pro-democracy advocates have pushed for mandatory real-time transmission from polling units directly to INEC's central database. The new law introduces safeguards against technical failures, but critics argue it may leave loopholes for manipulation.
What is crucial is the fact that
you manage the process to the extent there will be no confusion, no disenfranchisement of Nigerians, and we are all going to see democracy flourish. It is time that we have confidence in our system. No matter how good a system is, it's managed by the people, promoted by the people, and the result is finalized by the people. In fact, for final results, you are not going to be talking to the computer, you are going to be talking to human beings who will announce the final results. And when you look at the crux of various arguments, maybe Nigeria should question our broadband capability. How technically are we today? How technically will we be tomorrow?
President Tinubu, well, to debate the critical questions, we've brought together two opposing voices. Honorable Adebayo Balogun of the APC and chairman of the House Committee on Electoral Matters, who supported the optional clause allowing fallback to physical forms. And Honorable Victor Afam Ogene of the Labour Party, who insists real-time transmission is essential for transparency and public confidence. Tonight they go head-to-head. Which approach truly strengthens Nigeria's elections and which leaves room for doubts? Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for coming in. Let me start with you, Honorable Balogun. First of all, what's your reaction to the news that after weeks of intense legislative debate, public pressure, protest, President Tinubu has signed the Electoral Act 2026 Amendment Bill into law, effectively establishing the legal framework for the 2027 general elections?
Well, thank you for having me. It's very significant that it signs before 28th of February, because that's the date INEC has appointed to be stated for the 2027 general election. So if we want this 2026 Electoral Act to function without any flaw, I think it's very, very significant that it signed before 28th, and which it has done. And that's the reason why, yes, I can say we are very happy that he did it really on time.
Right. And Honorable Ogene, what's your reaction to that?
Well, thank you, Charles, and good evening, Nigerians. I will start by saying congratulations to the President and APC for forcing a fiat accompli on the Nigerian people. I say this with all due sense of responsibility. We knew that the 2027 elections were coming, and we waited until this last minute so that there will not be any agitation from the civil society groups, the media.
Well, there was agitation.
Having been signed, that closes the door to any further agitation.
Leading up to this, there was agitation.
In the last few weeks and days. But now we have been forced to accept the fiat accompli. But I think that more importantly, on this solemn day that Nigerians on both sides of the religious divide, Christians and Muslims, began their fast, that it's a sad day for democracy, and we will remember it as such.
Okay, well, that establishes the premise and the points of view that both of you are holding fast to. Honorable Balogun, whatever happened to the real-time clause that was originally passed by the House, I believe, in December?
Well, first of all, let's make it clear that both houses presented the same bill on the floor of the houses, and it both read real time, because it was a joint committee that worked on it. And law is never cast in stone. And if you reason why we have amendments maybe almost every 4 years now is because of new information. And because things are changing. We did our own consideration in December. The Senate did theirs in February. A lot of things happened between those few months.
Like what?
Yes, information that some people are trying to make real time now look like you are going to be viewing your results on the screen, and if they don't do it, then there will be crisis. Then, like responsible legislators, they have to do something. Then it's not about Senate versus reps. It's about doing the right thing. And when we saw what they did, when you go, we must go for harmonization when you have differences. And when we met together, and they gave us reasons, and we saw it. We saw reasons, and that's why when you are going for harmonization, you must have equal numbers, so that in case both of you want to stand on your ground, then there will be stalemate.
Right.
You must be able to convince the other side. And by the time we went into discussions, we saw reasons. We saw the way people are protesting. They were not protesting in the interest of Nigeria. They are protesting for personal reasons. Some people know they knew.
Are you talking about the people in the National Assembly or people outside?
Yes, it's different. They might be outside and they might be, some are inside, some are outside.
What is the personal interest for civil society
No,
groups
civil society,
that campaign
for
better democracy, stronger, free and fair elections?
Look, I know, we know ourselves. Not every civil society can talk. Not all of them. Some of them are still looking for image. They want to create image for themselves.
Well,
they're looking for funding.
That is
so look,
definitely
let's
not
be very objective. If you cannot come as civil society and ask questions and get answers and behave logically, then I won't consider. I know there are civil societies.
You see, in any with business, all those civil society groups, including with INEC, before that decision was taken.
I said we all did the same thing. We never saw any harm in the real time, and that's why I said laws are not cast in stone.
Okay.
So if you feel that something is wrong today, for example, we had to change the 300 days, the 360 days for notice to 300 days, because we felt there had been some agitation about election day falling on during the month of Ramadan and the Lent. So as reasonable legislators, we decided to give room for INEC in case INEC decides to
Well, you've made the point. Honorable Ogene, let me bring you in, and I'm sorry I've kept you sort of... you're the one who should actually be arguing with him, not me. But do you believe the 2027 elections will be free and fair if electronic results are not transmitted in real time?
Charles, the essence of lawmaking is to cure known and unknown defects. In this particular instance of electoral reforms, coming from the 2023 general elections, particularly the presidential elections, where glitch is now a byword, I thought that going forward, we will be looking at how to cure that lacuna. The late President Umaru Yar'Adua is famously regarded as a statesman because he did own up that the elections that brought him into office was flawed, and he went ahead to impanel the late Justice Uwe's commission. But in this instance, we still have a sore thumb sticking out from the 2023 elections. And instead of seeking to make it better, the subsequent one in 2027, by ensuring a real-time transmission of results, what did we have? We now have a retrogression to the days of incident forms.
Yeah, but that's not fair. That's not fair at all, to be honest. It's not even the incident form.
I'm going to explain it.
Just to be, because I interrupted him, and I can also interrupt you and sort of bring clarity to what you're saying.
Yeah.
They've actually moved it forward, according to them. They've now included that clause that says electronic transmission.
Can we read it for us?
The only point is that if it does not work, then there must be something to fall back on.
You and I know that when you leave certain proviso, the tendency is to depend more. That's why I brought the incident form. When the incident form was the law, we had more issues with people filling incident forms. And so now that we have opened the door to say
You have not
if it
opened the
doesn't go, you will see a lot of issues with the transmission.
Right.
Already they are telling you that network coverage. And me and you know that it is a lie. In the lead up to the last elections, NCC, Nigerian Communications Commission, and INEC conducted a survey. And they came up with between 93 to 97% of coverage. So why 4 years later we are still talking about
the issue is not about transmission, I mean about network or no network. Look, let's look at read the law. You speak to the document. The presiding officer shall electronically transmit the result from each polling unit to the RF. That is what you are asking for.
So that's very clear.
It has been done.
No one is
now,
clear.
Define the real time. Now define real time for me.
No, go
Please,
to the proviso.
Now,
I talked about proviso.
There's an
now,
adjunct.
There's an adjunct. Now, provided that if the electronic transmission of the result fails as a result of communication failure and it becomes impossible to transmit the result contained in the form EC80 signed and stamped by the presiding officer and countersigned by the candidate or polling agent where available at the polling unit, the form EC80 shall remain the primary source of collation. That means it's already
right. Well, let me ask you this.
Source of collation.
It raises two questions. Number one, how much of a necessary safeguard is that fallback clause? Or is it a loophole that undermines public confidence? That's number one. Number two, who determines when there is a communication failure?
I sent something to you. Is the coalition officer that will need to access the RF through his own machine or whatever equipment he's having. If he's not getting it, that means if it's not opening, probably you have signal problem within the area. Because what happened is that the unit and the word are mostly removed to some areas. When you get signals, when you get to most of the time you have signals at the local government level, but you collate at the ward level. That's where you need RF to pop up. And some areas are within the remotest areas are still within the rural areas. So those ones might not get until they move to the LGA level or the state level.
Right, okay.
So what we are now saying is, okay, if it does not, because some people are planning that once you don't get it, are we going to cancel the election? Because we heard what they were saying, what they are planning. Like they don't have any election to run. The only thing they want is to disrupt what is going to happen.
Well, let me bring
now, moving further, if you go to go to sub 6 under the presiding officer who willingly contravene any provision of the clause committed an offence and shall be liable to it. So if you don't transmit, transmission is the main important thing. Snap and transmit. So if you don't transmit, you are liable.
Right. Well, let me ask you this.
If it gets there, it's a different thing.
Yeah, let me ask you this, Honorable Ogene, because we've been told, indeed, by some civil society people, by INEC people who know the system, that you can transmit your stuff, that it automatically goes into storage. Yeah. And then comes up a bit like your WhatsApp when you send a message, when you go out, then it transmits. So it gets stored in there. So shouldn't that be enough security for you?
If that should be enough security, then why the proviso? Let me give you another example. In the laws, we know the issue of defection in Nigeria. But in making that law, for the National Assembly members to protect themselves, there became a proviso that in the event of a split or disagreement within your political party. And how do people cross over? You can engineer a crisis in a political party and use that window, defeating the essence of leaving your seat for which you were voted for on a particular party platform. So we know all of this gimmick. If they are sure and they know that once you upload, if you go to a network area, it goes. Then why are we going to this incident forms to open the doors.
Because, I mean, your party, the Labour Party, has shrunk since the 2023 elections. I mean, your presence in the National Assembly, your presence in the State Assembly, all kinds of things, you've shrunk considerably, whereas the APC has grown. Why should they be frightened of I mean, why would they need to rig an election? I don't understand.
No, that question, I ought to ask that question. With 30 plus governors,
we don't want to create a situation called crisis.
Just let's keep it civil. Situation. Why would they be afraid for going for, in 2013, 13 years ago, on January 13, 2013, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, then as National Publicity Secretary of the defunct Action Congress of Nigeria, called for electronic voting, not transmission, electronic voting in 2015 general elections. Are you telling me, Charles and my colleague, that how many years after we are now quarreling with the issue of a mere transmission?
Nevertheless, let's be clear, and I'm going to come to you in 1 minute. Nevertheless, let's be clear that Lai Mohammed was representing the opposition at the time.
And who am I representing?
No, let me just make the point. And eventually, the opposition actually won the election in 2015. So the argument that you're making about whatever he called for, the elections eventually favored him and his opposition in 2015.
And I'm saying, why not live by a creed?
Right.
That is simply it. Live by a creed.
You see, there's
Stop
a difference
educating me. Yes. Educate Nigerians. You owe them
no,
a
you're
duty.
part of Nigerians.
You owe them a duty.
Now,
No,
when you talk about electronic voting and online voting, there are differences. It's mixing electronic voting with online voting. Electronic voting can be offline. That's what Rufai did in one local government in the local government election in a state. Just like you have your beavers. Your beaver is an electronic device, but it's not an online when it's working as a beavers. It works with a stored input that you have. The data is stored already, so it can only work within the stored data. So when you are doing electronic voting, which we've also considered at the committee level, but we are just looking at the infrastructure, probably in 2031 or moving forward, yes, we might, because it's going to save us printing unnecessary ballot paper, and that is when using printing online PVC will not be used to, because all you just need to identification. When you get to the box, the box will have all the information of those at that unit. So, and it's not going to waste any additional papers. It's only going to print and give you a copy. It's going to print what you voted for, the party, and it's going to give you a copy. You now put it in the box. Electronic voting is not online. So electronic voting still have printed copy that you just go and put. The only thing is that it does accreditation along with the voting. You do accreditation along with voting. That's only when you can now get a situation where accredited voters and the total vote must be equal. Because you cannot have the gap again. It's going to be equal. The accredited voters and the number of votes must be equal when you do electronic voting. But it's different from online voting. Online, you don't see your vote. You just vote, you go. Right. You get somewhere, start somewhere.
I don't want to get bogged down in that, because that's not
really
the
main
not the issue. Yeah.
No, we are talking about police. Brought it up. You brought it up. So Lai Mohammed knew what he was saying.
If you
he was not saying
electronic
yes,
voting,
we are still talking about
the country should have advanced since then.
Yes, you should.
Electronic voting does not include.
Now you have power.
It does not include network. That's what I'm saying.
I'm not even dwelling. The issue is transmission.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying we should go to electronic voting. But if you were so futuristic as to advocate electronic voting, and now a more lesser tax of transmission, and you can't do that, then what are you running
for? Let me ask you this, because we are where we are now. The president has signed this bill into law. What would you recommend as the way to make Nigerians feel a sense of credibility in the system? I mean, how would they make it work for them in the current circumstances? Because there's not much you can do otherwise.
Yes. One, it does one of two things. First, elections is about confidence and integrity. Already the feeling out there is that even before 2027, the elections have been compromised. But we are here to tell Nigerians not to give up. The struggle for democracy is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And Nigerians need to use their votes to right the wrongs. And in doing that, after voting, we'll work within the laws, as it were, and still seek to tell them that what they are doing is wrong. So it is a question of the APC versus Nigerians.
Right. Well, I'm going to give you a chance to respond, and I'm going to ask you this in that context. Given the fallback to physical forms, which is essentially what this law has provided for, can you assure Nigerians who are concerned that there will still be, in the best way possible, the prevention of fraud and manipulation in 2027?
Now, that's what I said, it needs some education. Now, what is the system all about? The issue of the RF. You snap your Form ECAT, which is the result at the unit. Everybody have signed already. Every agent has a copy already. By the time you get to the word collation, you have your copy with you. The collation officer brought from EC 9A out. Now, maybe there are 10 units in that ward. So every agent and the presiding officer from each unit brings their result. He now records it down. It is only when you have issues from the result that it doesn't tally. That's when you now look for way of confirming. That's when you even need to open the RF at all. So if all the results tallies together, you don't even need RF. It's just for you to confirm if there are issues. So if everybody goes there, get reliable agents. That's what you need in your party. You don't even have agents. You don't even have agents. You don't even have agents. So instead of, I'm giving you expo.
That is a very honourable Balogun. Let me just come in here. Let me just come in here. That is actually an important point. So let me ask you this, Ogede.
So instead of coming here and be saying the Nigerians is against you, you are against Nigeria.
Let me just make this point.
A party that doesn't have numbers. I'm talking to I'm educating Nigerians. You don't know anything about this. This is your first time in election.
We can't all talk at the same time. Hold on, Honourable Balogun, just hold on a second.
I came to the assembly
and hold on a second.
In the 7th assembly.
Honourable
No, I'm talking to the Labour Party. I'm not talking to you as a person.
He actually raised, let me make a point, please. He raised an important point there.
Let's hear it.
If you haven't got agents, in fact, the argument has been adduced that one of the reasons why some of the opposition are very uncomfortable about this is because they haven't got agents. They haven't got enough agents across the place. And you can't, I mean, they can't provide agents for you. If you can't supply enough, if you can't supply enough agents, what you're essentially doing is asking IREV to represent the polling booths where you're not available.
No, they want the IREV. They want to look for the IREV in the polling booth.
Well, I'm asking you a question. I'm sure that I'm not taking any position.
I'm sure that you are aware that we are in a coalition. I'm sure you are aware. If you are not aware, Nigerians are aware. My leader is Mr. P2B. And he's already in the ADC.
Right. So even though you remain in Labour, you are...
Yeah, until the switch is completed on the floor. I remain in Labour.
Right.
But you should know that the coalition has the spread to cover all parts of Nigeria in terms of agents. So that is not even the issue.
Okay.
The issue is
clarify that.
Yes. The issue is how did we come about this electoral act that was signed today? So all these attempts to sidestep it and begin to go technical won't help. It is the Nigerian people that you should explain to.
Yes, you understand. Nigerian people understand.
You asked a valid...
Well, actually, they don't. I mean, if they did...
You asked a valid question.
I'm not talking about those CSOs that came to the gate.
I like that. They're not Nigerians, eh?
Huh?
Those CSOs are not Nigerians.
How many? My members from my own constituencies are not there.
I prefer when you ask me a question, you give me the time to
answer
I without
apologize.
interruption.
Please finish.
Thank you. The issue, you asked him last time, what happened to the real transmission? Now let me state, if you have a conference committee, they are not empowered to change anything. All they do is adopt one version. If it is the Senate clause that they want to go, they go with it. Now we are told that because of the time, that was the single agenda, time. And we all agreed so that we could move the time from 360 days to 300 days. But Charles, do you know that they went ahead and made some other alterations? And these same alterations, he read out something. If you go to clause 84, I'm sure you can identify this document.
Yes.
If you go to clause,
we even remove clause 87.
If you go to clause 84, and yes, they didn't have the powers. The leadership and the conference committee that had been charged to do an assignment didn't finish the assignment. They hijacked it, and then in clause 84, 3 modes, 84.2, the procedure for the nomination of candidates by political parties for the various elective positions shall be by direct, indirect primaries or consensus. Now, right there on the floor, and you know that they started considering this clause by clause, from 1 to 10 until we drew the attention that it wasn't going to work that way. You would wonder why they decided to go that route. Now this piece of paper was shared right there on the floor. Some got, some didn't get. And what did it say? The procedure for the nomination of candidates by political parties for the various elective positions shall be by direct primaries or consensus. So who gave them the authority to change this?
I'm going to give you a quick reply, then we've got to go to what he said. And be very specific about what you just said.
First, he said the conference committee. We went back to the committee on electoral matters. The committee saw we had a situation that,
that's the committee that you chair.
That I share.
Right.
Is the committee that now reconvened, the joint committee, then we now made some amendment. Because if the conference committee should work, they cannot change 300 to 360 to 300. So we reconvened as a committee and now took decision and now rescinded the earlier amendments, now represented. So on the floor of the House, the documents came late.
To do that without the committee in consultation.
The committee is the committee and not the what do you call
not
it?
The conference committee. Right.
Is a statutory committee that took the decision, joint committee that took the decision. Now, talking about the document, as we were preparing, because it was in a hurry, I realized that probably there was some errors in the printing, and we saw it, and we said, okay, let them go and make correction, and that's why they were saying they didn't have the document.
There were errors in the printing. I don't understand.
There were errors. That was just a page. There was a page where there was an error. They now took it back, and that's why they said they could not give them the
and then
papers.
Things that
Some
were
of them had
no,
just one word, just a word. So that was why, because once you are not being given, it's not yet a document.
Okay.
It was not yet laid.
Unfortunately,
it was not yet. 1 minute. 1 minute. It's clear.
We're out of time.
I need to clear this. It was not yet laid, and that's why they were asking for where is the document? Where is the document? And we said they're still working on it. You know, in the National Assembly, some of them are close to the civil servants. Some of them were able to get the copy while they are still working on it. And by the time we now bought the corrected version, some of them had the one with the error, and they were not trying to carry it around that. But by the time we are doing consideration, it's important that we had the section 84 in the correct version, and that is why you made a motion to correct it, because if you have not seen the corrected version,
Okay.
you will not need motion to stall it.
I am out of time,
Charles is
and I
trying
really
to
have
pull
to.
rules
No,
over
no,
the
why
eyes
were
of
you saying
Nigerians.
section 84?
really
Section
I
have to
84,
started by
section
asking
84.
Gentlemen,
him
I want
if
to
he
thank you very
recognizes
much
this document.
indeed. Honorable Adebayo Balogun, member of the APC, chairman of the House Committee on Electoral Matters, and Victor Afam Ogene, Honorable Victor Afam Ogene of the Labour Party. Thank you very much indeed. I'm sorry we're out of time, but you guys have made very, very solid points. You both.